And you know what they say, if it's too loud, you're too old. Turn that racket down.
Greetings from Fairfield. We are Richard and Kendra, and we are restoring this cool old Victorian house. We found this old Queen Anne for sale on the internet and decided to buy it. So we moved from the West Coast to the cornfields of Iowa. So join us as we explore and restore this 1896 Victorian mansion.
Hello, greetings from Fairfield. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're excited to share a piece of house history. One of the first things we did shortly after buying the house was started a Facebook page because we wanted to document the work we were doing and sharing some of the history that we were finding on the house. That has led us to a lot of stories of people that remember the house, visiting the house. We were finding it just as important to restore that house history as it was restoring the house itself. One of the things that happened were some of the people we got to meet, people that had come to the house, previous owners of the house, and that has led us to some of the best discoveries of the house. But to understand what happens next, it'd probably be important to do a little quick recap on house history. The house was built in 1896 by James A. Beck and was placed on the National Historic Registry in 1978. But Mr. Beck sells the house to the Ball family in 1913, and it's in the Ball family the longest until their deaths in 1962. Which brings us to today's video, which takes us from Fairfield, Iowa, all the way to Washington, D.C., back in 1963.
Dear Richard, I'm enjoying your Facebook posts and YouTube videos that document your work restoring the James A. Beck House. Many, many years ago, my parents were interested in buying that house, which we knew as the Ball Mansion. But Mr. Ball thought our family was too small to take care of such a large home. I do recall going to see the house with my parents, and when we went to the third-story ballroom, there was an Edison phonograph that was playing, "Where Did Robinson Crusoe Go?" And my grandfather, he knew the song and sang along with it. But in the end, as part of his effort to talk my parents out of buying the house, Mr. Ball gave them the Edison player and the records. I live in Washington, D.C. now, and I still have that phonograph and the records, but it might need a new needle and some other adjustments to work properly, but needs a new silk to put behind the decorative wood face. That is in front of the speaker horn. I do have the key to the cabinet, but I am unable to open it, but the records are stored inside. None of my siblings know I want to fix and repair the phonograph. Since it was in the ballroom of the house, I am reaching out to you to see if you might be interested in it. Of course, that would be another project for you. Give it some thought and let me know if you would be interested. Best wishes, Anne.
Well, let's give it a thought, shall we? I mean, do we really need a piece of house history back at the house that we're in the process of restoring the house history? I don't know.
Shut up and take my money!
So, in starting that Facebook page and now our YouTube channel, and connecting with a lot of people and getting some of those stories and house history, two of those new Fairfield friends, big shout out to Tom and Mary, who were also related to that Ball family that owned the house from 1913 to 1962, drove out to Washington, D.C., and brought back the 1919 original Edison phonograph. It is in beautiful shape. I mean, just really nice. I have the reproducer was taken off for transport, so that's tucked away nice and safe. We got to get a new cloth for the speaker cover for the grill. I'm going to take that out. But another cool thing, that not only is this the phonograph that came from the house, but we also have the original records that came with it. So we now know what the family rocked out to back in 1919. And some of them are the earlier ones. So for you aficionados out there, we also have the etched labels, the Edison etched labels. These records, so here's a little fun fact. Edison, these only play on the Edison machines. You'll notice that these things are 1/4 inch thick. They're like a laminated porcelain disc, much thicker than your normal 78s. And they are not interchangeable, meaning you cannot play these diamond discs on, say, a Victrola, and you can't play the standard 78s from a Victrola on the Edison. They are not compatible. And so we do have a little bit of cleanup work to do on it before we can just crank it up and start it. One thing, we do have one oddity here that we need to figure out. And so I've been watching some YouTube channels. Shout out to the dyslexic genius, Bert. Bert. Yeah. Big shout out to the dyslexia genius, who has a YouTube channel that you got to check out, who has many videos, thousands of videos on taking these things apart. And but not sure if this happened in transport or if this is one of the things that's wrong with it. But our lift lever, which is supposed to lift and drop the needle, as well as turn the whatever this piece is called. I'm blanking on that. Anyway, it is jammed in the wrong position. This is supposed to be turned way over here. This lever here is supposed to engage this lever here, which is the stop lever. And so we've got to pull this out. The entire motor plate and horn has to come out, and so we can reset that lever and gear to get those to align before we can actually start playing it. Let's cut some time lapse and get cranking. But I got it working. Man.
Thousands of years ago, maybe more, out on an island on a lonely shore, Robinson Crusoe landed one fine day. No rent to pay and no wife to obey. His good man Friday was his only friend. He didn't borrow or lend. They built a little hut.
How awesome is that?
Saturday night it was done. Where did Robinson Crusoe with Friday on Saturday night? Every Saturday night they were starting to roam, and on Sunday morning they come staggering home. On this island live wild men in cannibal women, and where there are wild men there must be wild women. So where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? On this island live wild men in cannibal women, and where there are wild men there must be wild women. So where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday and Saturday night? Robinson Crusoe was a good old scout. Robinson Crusoe knew his way about. He'd go hunting chickens now and then, but he knew when he was chasing a hen. Once he told Friday, "You must stay at home. I've got to go out alone." Friday felt very blue. He said, "It's wrong of you. Couldn't you fix it for two?" Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? Every Saturday night they would stop in to roam, and on Sunday morning they come staggering home. On this island live wild men in cannibal women, and where there are wild men there must be wild women. So where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? On this island live wild men in cannibal women, and where there are wild men there must be wild women. So where did Robinson go with Friday and Saturday night?
So there is a couple of issues. That arm is not working correctly. I got it moving. It was stuck before. And there's a release lever that I can lift up on. But it plays. Where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night? I don't know. I have to look up the lyrics because they were weird. Those were some weird lyrics. But, you know, it's alive. It's alive! A little hard to do this while it was playing. But I still have to hook up the volume control. But you guys see this volume control. This is way cool. All right, so there's the volume lever. It's mounted up in the cabinet. And it's like a little slider. And it works really good. It's basically a tennis ball that goes in there to turn it down. And if you want to crank it up, you pull the tennis ball out of the hole. And you know what they say, if it's too loud, you're too old. Turn that racket down. Okay, I'll put the tennis ball back in the hole. Works really good though. So this is like 10. That's like 1. Crank it up. Maybe that's 11. All the way back is 11. And if you catch that reference, well, there you have it. The Edison C19 diamond disc phonograph from 1919. Still have a few minor adjustments to do on it to get it to run a little smoother, but we did get a new grill cloth put on the speaker grill plate there. Looks absolutely fantastic. Didn't really consider this to be much of a project really because, well, it was just a lot of fun learning about the history and how they operate. And I don't know, it was just a lot of fun tinkering with it, getting it to run again, and was just so thrilled after we cranked it up and you got to hear music come out of it again after all these years. Well, that was super cool. I mean, to think that Robinson Crusoe, where did Robinson Crusoe go with Friday on Saturday night, was last played at the house in 1963 and was probably first played at the house in 1919, over 100 years ago. I mean, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But I have no idea what that song's about. I have no idea who Mr. Friday is. You know, but if you know, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to know what that's all about. I want to give a big shout out to Brett Hurt, the dyslexic genius over on his YouTube channel, who actually gave me a call on vacation on a cruise in the middle of the ocean. Gave me a call. I mean, who am I? I'm just some guy on the internet with an Edison trying to get it working. He calls me up and gives me some pointers and gives me a little, you know, some tips on what to look for and how to get this thing up and running. And bam, it's up and running. And so want to thank Brett there for that. And you should check out his YouTube channel. I'll leave the link down in the description of his YouTube channel, where he, you know, not only has Edisons, he's got Victrolas and the cylinder discs. I forget what they're called, but has a whole line of history and repairs, and you definitely got to check that out if you're interested in learning more about these old phonographs. And another big thanks to Tom and Mary, who drove all the way out to Washington, D.C. to bring back this piece of house history. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you so much. And especially to Anne, who, after finding our YouTube channel, reached out to us with that incredible story and wanting to help us bring back that house history and get this phonograph back here to the house. We couldn't be happier with it. Thank you so much. And the house halls once again echo with the sounds of music.